Hello, I'm Chong-min Park, Professor of Public Administration at Korea University. Congratulations on the 20th anniversary of ABS Asian Barometer Survey. I have served as PI of ABS Korea Survey since its first round in the early 2000s. As one of the founding members of the ABS, I'd like to thank Professor Yunnan Chu, the leader of the ABS, as well as his colleagues and staff at National Taiwan University. Without his leadership and their hard work, it would have been difficult for the ABS project to continue for 2 decades. Since the early 2000s, the ABS has produced a wealth of cross-national public opinion data, which allows us to examine theoretical questions in the context of East Asia. A great deal of research utilizing ABS data has made a huge contribution to our understanding of mass political attitudes and behavior across East Asia, a region of greater cultural and religious diversity. The ABS data provide an excellent opportunity to explore mass-level foundations of democratic consolidation across the region. By utilizing a series of ABS data, we have been able to examine the trajectory of public views of democratic institutions and norms within a country or across the region. Let me introduce some of my works utilizing ABS data. The first work, collaborated with Professor Do Shin, was about the ASEAN value thesis. For more than a decade, scholars and policymakers have vigorously debated the suitability and compatibility of liberal democracy in East Asia. Defenders of Asian values claim the Western-style liberal democracy is neither suitable for nor compatible with Confucian East Asia, where collective welfare, social duty, and other principles of Confucian moral philosophy are deeply rooted. As a viable alternative to liberal democracy based on the principles of individual rights and social contract, the defenders have advocated the ASEAN way, a benevolent paternalistic form of governance. By utilizing ABS data, we examine their compatibility or incompatibility with the support for democracy in South Korea, which is some observers call the paradigmatic Confucian society in East Asia. We distinguish between two types of Asian values that reflect Confucian morality: social values and political values. Social values include social hierarchy, social harmony, group primacy, and anti-pluralism. Political values include family state, moral state, and adversarial politics. By utilizing ABS data, we examined a micro-level implication of the Asian value thesis, namely, that individuals attached to Asian values are less likely to support democracy, or less likely to reject authoritarian rule than those detached from them. The results from biblical analysis neither upheld nor tore down the validity of Asian value thesis. All Asian values are not equally associated with pro-democratic or anti-authoritarian regime support. The results from multi-view analysis show that most Asian values matter for authoritarian rejection, most of them having negative effects. Regarding democratic support, most Asian values do not matter. Asian values, when considered as a whole, are not uniformly negative in shaping pro-democratic or anti-authoritarian regime orientations. Some are negative, but others are neutral or even positive. Nevertheless, many such values, to some degree, negatively affect anti-authoritarian regime orientations. We conclude that detachment from Asian values tends to orient people away from authoritarian rule, if not toward democracy. In other words, attachment to Confucian Asian values makes it more difficult to reject authoritarian rule than to embrace democracy. The second work is about qualitative democracy. By utilizing ABS data, I examined public views of the quality of democracy in the context of East Asia. I treated the quality of democracy as a multidimensional phenomenon and divided aspects of a democratic quality into two categories. One associated with electoral democracy and the other liberal democracy. I found that aspects associated with electoral democracy tends to be separated from those linked to liberal democracy, although there are reinforcing linkages between aspects of a democratic quality. There was some negligible uh, or non-existent linkages, not trade-offs or conflict. I also found that every aspect of a democratic quality did not matter equally to the general quality of democracy. Those associated with electoral democracy enhanced little public satisfaction with democracy and public evaluation of democratic supply. By contrast, those associated with liberal democracy play a notable role in improving public views of the general quality of democracy. I also examined the effects of perceived democratic quality on regime support. I found that East Asian democracies suffered various democratic deficits in the eyes of their publics. A weak rule of law remained the most notable democratic deficit across much of the region. The micro-level analysis shows that the perceived quality of democracy shaped regional relations and institutional confidence, but not all aspects of democratic quality mattered. Aspects of liberal democracy, such as rule of law, served as the major source of regime support. Public support for the prevailing system of government across much of the region depended on the quality of rule of law institutions as well as national economic performance. I concluded that establishing a strong rule of law constitutes one of the major challenges democratic consolidation across much of East Asia. And these are only two of my works using ABS data for the last 2 decades. These works could not be done without ABS data regularly collected across East Asia since the early 2000s. On the 20th anniversary of ABS, I'd like to express my gratitude to all members of ABS research group led by Professor Yun-Han Chu. It has been wonderful working with the group for the last 2 decades. I'd like to acknowledge my intellectual debt to the group. I hope that the ABS project will continue and formally establish as a democracy research hub in the region. Congratulations again on the 20th anniversary of ABS. Best wishes to all ABS participants and contributors.